how cool was it for you guys to get Andrea Nisler? Like, did you guys even like think you were gonna get like that caliber of athlete coming in like right off the bat?
I I told I told Greg when I first met Tony. I had coffee with him. He's like, and again, I didn't know Tony from Adam. I had no idea who he was, and then he kind of just introduced himself, and like I was like, hey, well, tell me about yourself, and he gave me his background. And I was like, hold on, wait, you're you're your games athlete, like the games, not like regionals or anything, like the games. And he was like, yeah, no, I was games athlete 2 years in a row. I was like, Jesus. And then and then he told me, he tells me he used to coach Andrea Nisler. And I'm like, oh, I know that name. And he was like, yeah. And I think actually she'd be like a perfect fit for the company. This is before he was even a partner. And so he sits down, he puts us in a text chain together, and we start talking. And before you know it, she's signing a contract with us. And I'm just like, dude, is this really happening right now? And I even told her, like, we did a photo shoot, her and her husband Bob, and it was a great weekend. We actually just like planned a pretty cool weekend together. And man, I even told her when I picked her up from the airport, I'm just like, forgive me if I'm like a little nervous or awkward. This is like not me.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm kind of like in awe right now of who I'm in the presence of. And she gave me a half smile at the time. She gave me a full smile at the end of the weekend. But she's great. I mean, she's absolutely awesome. She's the face of the brand by far. Amazing everything, like all of her accolades, what she was able to accomplish in her CrossFit career. Um, we'll see if it continues. I mean, she's going to be a mom here soon, so like good for her. We're super pumped and proud for her, and paved the way for Colten to come in and carve his space and inside of Hero Nation now. And we'll see what Colten can do this year in the games. We're pumped for him, man. I mean, anybody who can bring on that grit, grind, and the determination of the muscle hamster from Iowa, let's go,
Yeah.
guy.
So
Colton's,
so
yeah,
how did that come about? Like, obviously Colton's kind of like a low key, kind of quiet, like, nose to the,
yep,
just nose down and
absolutely.
just go to work. So how did you guys get connected, and how did you guys make the deal happen?
So our buddy Ken Clark does a podcast as well. It's not all black and white. That was our first podcast, Greg, that we
Hmm.
were on together.
I heard that one too.
Um, Nice, very nice. Yeah, that was a fun one. And so Ken, Ken's kept in touch. He's been a great outlet provider of content, media. It just goes out of his way to help the company out, which has absolutely been awesome of him. And he started up his own agency as well, and like kind of reached out of the blue one day, and he's like, and oh, by the way, I have this agency, and I got a couple of athletes I think would be great for your brand. And he says Colten Mertens. I go, shut up, you don't have Colten Mertens. There's no way. And oh, we'll get him in a text, in a text feed, and but before you know it, we're chatting up, contract negotiations and everything. I was just like, and it was great too. Like, I'll bring Greg into this, and he can expound on it. But so I was like, Greg, I got our next athlete. Like, this is it. And he's like, all right, pitch it. And I started talking about Colten and all the things, and he was just, I think I said grind. I said pig farmer from Iowa, determination, 25, 4 CrossFit Games appearances. And he's like, sign him. He sounds awesome. Let's do it.
That's awesome.
You sold me.
Yeah. So Greg, what was your experience with Colton?
Oh, it's great, man. We're pumped. So it's funny. My brother-in-law is a Hawkeye. He's an Iowa Hawkeye. So I think he was more excited than any of us, because right away when we signed him, we put it on our Instagram, we made an announcement, and he like called me up like 5 minutes later, saying, "Dude, you got Colten." So how did you get Colten? And he like went through a whole thing. So He already told me. I showed him some of the preliminary designs of the Colten bar that's going to be coming out here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Man, we're pumped on that thing. That thing's the unbroken bar, as we're calling it. I
Nice.
think that thing's going to be pretty sick. So he told me he's first in line. He's going to get wants the first bar off
Oh,
the
very nice.
manufacturing press. Yeah.
Very cool.
Very nice.
So did you guys notice like the big following that Colton has through like the Savon podcast, like
Yeah.
Vindicate and like all those guys? Where you're like,
Yep.
after you signed him, did you realize like he had that kind of backing as well?
Oh yeah. No, and I still, dude, I would love to it's a very selfish pitch right now, Thomas, but I love I love Savad's podcast, man. Like it is so good. It really is. He tells it like it is.
Yep.
The guests are great. The episode that he did on and it's like touches politics a little bit, but whatever. But like the episode that he did on Palestine and Israel during the first kind of portion of the conflict, I was listening to that thing, and normally I like listen to podcasts in like 20 or 30-minute stints. Dude, I think that was like an hour and 47 minutes or something, and it just played in my ear straight because I didn't want to turn it off. I was hooked.
Mhm.
So yeah, I was aware of the following, right? The Swolverine to Vindicate. Like I was aware of the following, but I don't think I understood the gravity of it. Like now I get it, and I was like, wow, we got something very special on our hands.
Mhm. And I see Vindicate posting like Hero Barbell stuff like all the time on his stories all
Love
the
it.
time. So
Love it.
yeah, and it's funny because like I've had Travis on my podcast as well, and like I talk to him like back and forth, and so
Yep.
I guess I think Frank, you told me that you were getting Colton on before you even posted it, and so then Vindicate had something on Hero Barbell, and then like I was like, hey, Travis, like, what's going on with Hero? And he's like, oh, they're getting somebody big, and I'm like, okay, I know who it is. Okay, great. So at
Yeah.
least I know like someone else is like in the pipeline of like knowing what's going on. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Still
I was really excited when you
still
guys picked him up.
yeah, super cool. We got a chance to watch him compete in Pasadena this year, and it was just it was inspiring. Yeah, like it really was to see someone just go out and just ball, And I mean, you see it on TV, and you're just like, all right, got it. You're kind of isolated from it a bit, right?
Yep.
But once you see it in person, it's just like, okay, all right, that dude's a hoss. Like he's legit.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like
Yeah.
how's like he's just like so thick. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
short and
He's
thick, and it's
almost he's almost as big as me.